Hello, Meoni here, and welcome back to another quick video talking about stuff we saw in the live letter part 77. We've already done a big, concise overview of that, but I thought it would be a good idea just to pick apart little bits and talk about them separately because somebody might not want to watch a big video. So in this regard, we're talking about Pandemonium Anabasios, which is the new wing, and the way that Savage is going forward as well, because there are quite a few changes. So the new wing is called Anabasios, which completes the entire raid storyline, and indeed comes with 4 fights. These 4 fights are going to be quite interesting. Yoshi P mentioned during the live letter they're quite taxing, including on normal mode. Whether we should base that on anything, I have no idea if we can trust the word of Yoshi P, because sometimes in the past we have heard the same information and it's been easy, and sometimes we've heard the same information and it's been incredibly hard. So it's going to be in the air of the difficulty. So it will be releasing 1 week after 6.4, or at least the Savage mode. So the normal mode will be available when the patch goes live. So if you want to do the storyline and stuff like that, you've got plenty of time. You've got an entire week to do your MSQ and whatever else you want to do, so you don't feel rushed into unlocking and completing that raid. Although majority of people, I would imagine, will go straight into the raid stuff, unlock that, get the normal mode done, and get some gear. There will be lots of other gear opportunities as well, including crafting gear this time around as well. We will not see the next part of the relic upgrade until 6.45, however, so don't worry about your relics this time around. So apart from obviously that they're sticking to releasing Savage 1 week later than the patch now, which I think is a positive change and results in a much better positive mental attitude from the community anyway, other things are changing. So there are reward changes. Specifically, there are adjustments to treasure coffers awarded in Savage. It says coffers will not reward duplicate armor pieces for the same slot anymore. That is huge. That means that progression, as your group trying to get a piece of gear from there, that's going to make things a lot easier. Hallelujah for that one. Then we also have body gear can be earned from the 11th circle. So traditionally, the 4th fight of every wing is where you get your weapon and indeed the body, like your chest piece drop. But that is no longer going to be the case. You're going to be able to get that from the 3rd fight. So in this case, the 11th circle. So the 11th fight, the 3rd fight in this new series. That's really big. I personally think that's going to be the difference between clears and not clears on a week earlier basis for a lot of people. It's going to be a lot of power. Traditionally, body pieces or chest pieces hold some of the most important stats. They are a huge stat carrier. Weapons, chest piece, and legs are like your most valuable pieces of gear in terms of upgrade, just simply because of how many stats are held on such a big item, which is also why they reflect the reward cost, right? When you buy a chest piece from a vendor and things like that with tomes or otherwise. So very, very cool stuff. I'm personally a fan of that. Some people might not be a fan of that. Please let me know why below. Very interested. They're also changing a visual thing. So at first I read this and thought it was like a physical change. It says a single treasure coffer will appear at the end of each Pandemonium Anabasios Savage encounter. The reward quantity unchanged from previous tiers, however. Rewards will be reduced if 1 to 4 players have already completed the duty, and there will be no rewards if 5 or more players have completed it. So basically nothing has majorly changed there, apart from we see 1 treasure coffer now visually instead of 2, right? So you're still going to be getting the same amount of loot from the chest. It is still, reflective who haven't cleared it that week. It's still going to be all the same. You're just going to visually see 1 chest. I'm not sure the reason for that. Maybe there's some limitations or something like that, like lag limitation. I have no idea. But all of your loot's going to be in 1 box. Another major thing then that needs to be mentioned is the exchange rate, right? So this is the last slide they show on the Savage changes. So previously, as you can see, for you to exchange for your body gear, and indeed your leg gear, like I said before, the valuable pieces, you needed 8 of the books, right? So for the body gear, you would normally need 8 of the books from the 4th fight in that wing, right? Because it would drop there as well. 8 books is a lot. That's no longer the case, and that's changed to, if you don't get it to drop, you can exchange 6 of the books from fight 3. So if you manage to kill the 3rd fight, you collect 6 of those books, so that's presumably 6 weeks, and you can get your chess piece. Very cool stuff. And the legs have also been changed. That used to be 8 as well. Now from the same fight, Mythos 3, for example, 6. So your body and leg gear is now 6 of those clear books to exchange for instead of 8, bringing the possibility of you getting upgrades a lot closer, 2 entire weeks earlier, if you were to clear every week, that is. But also the fact that you've got earlier progression, an entire fight earlier. So as you're progressing through this, you might get stuck on Mythos 4. You're not going to be as penalized. You're still going to have to go for your weapon in there, because presumably it might be best in slot for you. It usually is, right? But at least you can get the rest of your gear and your armor set up. Accessories have also changed. Accessories traditionally from Mythos 1, they only cost 3 books now instead of 4. This is a massive change, and a positive massive change, to make it so that you don't have to spend as much time basically grinding out gear or waiting to get gear rewards. Is it perfect? By no means, I would say, but it is a good step in the right direction. Some people have criticized this in a negative fashion, saying that they're trying to take people away from the game, but you've also got to see the other side of that, where there's, as Yoshi P said at the time of this live letter, there are many games coming out in the next 3 months, and it would be unfair for them to want you to just dwell on this grind. And it looks like, as well, by what he said, if I don't know if I can directly quote this, but we'll paraphrase it, essentially to the effect of, this is what we're going to be aiming to go for in the future going forward. But presumably that will be based on player feedback, so if you want to give some positive feedback or negative feedback in a constructive fashion, I'm sure the forums are waiting for you. Let me know what you think about these changes. That's all of the changes to Savage. I thought this was very interesting to talk about. Personally, from somebody who's, I would say, a fairly, casual thing. I've never cleared PAS, for example, but we did the other fights. For me personally, I think that if our group had that extra power earlier, the body, the chess piece and things like that, it probably would have helped with some of our survivability, because PA test was difficult. So for us, at least, we were struggling with survivability. So every little helps, right? And I think this is a really good thing to see. But yeah, who knows how this is going to change things. Like the world race, obviously, shouldn't really be affected by this. It's more of just long-term, exposure to the content and progression groups, I would imagine. But yeah, really big changes. Really big changes. Anyway, much love. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.